Hi, this is Leanne from 3S Designs, also known as Stroke Survivor Silks. I'm going to show you, I'm making a basket. I'm joining a Apple Blossom Festival out here in Virginia, and it's a big craft festival with rides and parade and all kinds of artisans, and I've rented myself a booth. So I'm going to be making a big pink basket full of apple blossoms and other silk flowers, and I wanted to show you how I do that. I have my pink basket and I've glued in one piece of Oasis or styrofoam in the bottom already. I've got to take two more small pieces to put on either side of my Oasis just to give me some surface to be able to stick my stems. So I'm using a hot glue pot to glue my Oasis in the basket. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And if you all can remember from my last video, I'm doing all this with one hand because I had a stroke 7 years ago and the left side of my body is still paralyzed. So I have to do all my designing with one hand. So I've been getting ready for several big craft shows that I have coming up in March, April, and May, which makes my right hand get very tired, but I love what I do, so I keep on pushing. And you can see what I've done is I've glued in one big chunk of Oasis in the middle with two smaller pieces on either side to give me a nice wide surface to design in. And now I like to cover up my Oasis, so I'm going to use sheet moss, which I get in bulk. So I'm using this big piece here that I'm going to cover up all my Oasis and shove it all around that. See, it's all covered now. Now to keep it so it doesn't fall out, I have florist pins, or what they're called, greening pins, that I'm going to hold it down with. It's like a little U-shaped pin. You can get them at any craft store. They kind of look like a little hairpin. And you just push it to hold the moss in place all around the surface. When I had my stroke, it changed my life forever, taking away my job and my freedom, my ability to take care of myself, and I haven't driven in 7 years, but I refuse to let it take away my love of designing with flowers. So I have to keep on finding ways to make it work with one hand. So now I've got all my sheet moss covering my Oasis. I like to start with my greens, so I'm going to green up the basket first. Which I have this bunch of grass that I always like to put in the middle, kind of around the handle. Gives me a good center for my arrangement. Hope you all can see that. I usually put it right straight through the center. And then I kind of separate it on either side of the handle. So that way it looks kind of even throughout the whole middle of the basket. And then I have something called maidenhair fern, which I'm going to kind of spread out through the whole basket to give me a shape. I just cut all my stems off of the one main bush so that I get several stems of greens. You will notice throughout the video that I have to pull the greens up to the top of the stem, and usually you have to take 2 hands to do that, but since I don't have 2 hands, I have to use my mouth. That way I can get the greens all the way to the top of the stem. I like to do my arrangements all the way around. That way the person that buys it has the option to put it in the middle of a table or up against a wall. It looks good all the way around, so it doesn't really matter where they put it. See, I got myself started a pretty good base. I'm empty in the back, so I need to get another bush of greens to fill in the back side. I'll be right back. I have one of these nice bushes here that I got from one of my wholesalers that I deal with online. It's kind of a nice green. It's got berries mixed in with it. My left hand really wants to help me. It keeps banging up against the side of the counter. So I end up with a lot of bruises by the time I'm done with this. Because with certain stroke survivors, you get bad muscle spasms, where your muscles just do things on their own. You can't control them. I just keep turning my basket around as I do the arrangement so that I can make sure I can see it from all sides. See, they get tangled. I'll be sharing my video on Facebook and on my YouTube page, so if you want to go over to my YouTube page and subscribe, it's 3S Designs. That way I can keep showing you the videos of how much I progress and design with flowers. So I've got my basket all greened in now. It's all pretty good fill. Now I'm going to start with my flowers. I like to start with my tallest flowers first. So I'm going to start with my cherry blossoms first, or my apple blossoms. Got these beautiful tall apple blossoms. Actually got these at Michael's. I try to shop all around my wholesale companies and then my local stores to find the best deals that I can keep my costs down to my customers. So this is going to be a little bit too tall for this, so I'm going to cut a little bit off the bottom of the stem. I have these really good heavy-duty wire cutters, which is very hard to do with one hand, so I have to balance it on an angle so I can get my cutters in there and then cut that thick stem apart. It'd be easier if I had two hands, but you know, you do what you can. Then I'm just going to kind of spread the stems out so they look a little more natural, like they were growing off of a tree. So it kind of looks like that, and then I put it straight down through the center. Then I have a nice, tall cherry blossom or apple blossom right in the center of my basket. I have one more here with several stems that I'm going to cut apart and spread them through my basket. Instead of one long stem, I end up with 3 long stems if I cut them apart. So instead of one stem, I end up with 3 of these that I can spread throughout the arrangement. Now this particular stem came from my wholesaler. It's really hard to get these stinking little price tags off. They stick to the stems and then it's really hard for me to get them off with one hand. So many times I cut into the stem just so I can get the paper ripped. Come on. It's a sticky little bugger. You know what? I'm going to cut that stem off and I'm going to use it later, because it's not cooperating with me right now. You can see I'm starting to get my shape of all the large flowers in the basket. Here's the front. I'm still working with my line flowers. So the next flower I've got here is stock. It's hot pink stock. It's really pretty. I'm going to spread that through the basket, just to kind of bring out and accent the pink in the basket. I do have a website. My son is currently in the process of getting it up and running for me. It's 3sdesigns.net. It's a work in progress. Pretty soon I'll have lots of things on there that people can purchase. Keep turning my basket so I can see all around. Okay, so I've got my hot pink stock all throughout the basket, all the way around. Still working with that line. Now I have some really gorgeous, real touch, tall pink tulips I'm going to add. They're just gorgeous. Came from my wholesaler. The leaves, everything about them, the petals, everything feels real. I'm going to add these to the tall part of the arrangement. Getting them apart is very tricky, because they fasten them together with wires and raffia, so I have to cut them up. See, here's one stem, it's gorgeous. Now I need a good point at the bottom to get it into my oasis nice and strong. So I'm going to cut my stem at an angle, just like you would do with fresh flowers. Because with silk it gives me a nice Nice sharp point to be able to get into my basket. See, I've got one up tall. I'm probably going to do there's 5 stems. I'm going to sprinkle them short and tall throughout my arrangement. I like to work in different levels, so I start with a couple tall ones first on either side of the handle. I like to work with my handle coming down through the center because that gives me a good balance on both sides. Since my left side is still paralyzed from my stroke, I tend to have a left side neglect, so I need to constantly check to make sure that I've filled out my left side as much as my right side. This is a curved one, which is, I'm going to leave it curved because it's very natural looking, just like it came out of a vase or grew out of the ground like that. So you can see I kind of have it curving down in my basket. I'm going to turn it a little bit so I can make sure I get some around the other side too. I'll get one over here to the back side. Okay, I've got my tulips in now, all spread out through all around. Nice, tall, gorgeous pink tulips. The next thing I'm going to add is, I've got some really hot pink and soft pink ranunculus. I'm going to cut those up and spread them through the basket. When I'm done, this is going to look like a very feminine, beautiful pink apple blossom basket. It'll make somebody cheer them up from the snowstorms that we've been getting. Kind of see now where I've got the height of my bulk of my flowers over here on the right side, so I need to concentrate more over here on the left side so that I can balance it out. All the while I turn it around so I can make sure I get flowers on the back end too. So that way if people put it in the middle of their table, they can see it from all sides. The next thing I'm going to add then is I've got some hot pink roses that are really pretty. I'm going to add some of these roses to my basket. got all my roses on both sides, and I'm going to flip it to the back and fill in my back side now. Here's the back side. The last thing I'm going to add is it's a filler flower. It's called Heather. It's a light pink, and I thought it would give the basket a nice finish. So I'm going to spread this throughout my basket. I actually got this Heather from Hobby Lobby. You can kind of see what it looks like now that I cut all the branches apart. I'm going to put this one down through the center. Kind of fills in any gaping holes I might have. Now, here's a problem that I have. It's a little too short to go in my basket, so I have to add a metal pick to the bottom of my stems. So I'm going to go over here and add a metal pick to the end of my stems, and then I'll come back and finish the basket. Okay, you can see what it did is it added this nice metal pick to the end of my stem, so it makes it longer for me to be able to stick through my basket. I've got the front pretty much filled up, so now I'm going to add to the back end. few more things I need to put a pick on, so I'll be right back. Machine is hard to use with one hand also. Sorry about that. Let me finish up my backside and then we'll be done with this one. Okay, let me give you the final look. Here is the front of my basket with apple blossoms, tulips, roses, ranunculus, and stock. And then here is the back side. Get up closer so you can see it. I think this would be very pretty to put on an entryway as you walk in your front door or the middle of your dining room table. So there you go. Please follow me on YouTube at 3S Designs, Stroke Survivor Silks. Thanks for watching. It really helps me in my progressing with my stroke recovery and watching me with my love of flowers. So keep watching for more videos. Thanks for watching.